Welcome to We Love Deck Builders, the podcast dedicated to empowering deck industry pros to construct a thriving business. Join your host, April Edwards, founder of Deck Builder Marketers, as she brings you a cheat sheet of industry secrets and strategies that promise to boost your deck building business. Whether you're a battle-tested pro or just starting your entrepreneurial journey, this podcast is your arsenal for expert insights and actionable advice. So tune in and let's carve a path to business growth, one insight at a time.
All right, everybody, welcome to the third episode of We Love Deck Builders. I'm your host, April Edwards, and today we've got Mackenzie Zera with us. She is our rockstar project manager. Today, we want to talk about what we learned from DeckExpo. It was such an amazing week, jam-packed, right, Mackenzie? The first 3 days, there was a lot going on, right?
Yes.
So I just want to give you a little overview with what DeckExpo is. So it is shared with the pool, spa, and patio industry. And DeckExpo is just kind of a little portion of the entire conference, but it is extremely valuable. There are so many amazing builders there and all kinds of vendors, manufacturers, and people just, sharing the latest and greatest. And then this year was very exciting because Chris Breen and Amy Breen from Legacy Academy teamed up with Nadra to present the DeckEx talks. And I got to sit in on a couple of the talks, escaping the booth and leaving Mackenzie to hold the fort down. I've got some amazing notes to share with you guys on that. And I think that everybody that I talked to had just such amazing feedback from those talks. Did you happen to hear anybody say anything about any of the talks they went to, Mackenzie?
I did. Well, I had the opportunity to sit in on one of the talks, and it was just really amazing to hear the perspectives from these actual deck builders who own their own business. And the one that I sat in on was for social media, and just hearing about how passionate everybody was, the two panelists up there, how passionate they were about just their social media, being so excited to take videos of their work and sharing tips with other deck builders, or, just doing like a time-lapse video of their project from start to finish, and using that as a tool to showcase potential clients, what the process looks like. And it's just, an engaging and fun video. So it was just really neat to hear their perspectives, and then just to see how engaged everybody else was in the crowd and all the questions that they were asking. You could really tell that everybody wanted to ramp up their social media game after that presentation.
Yeah, I think that with all of these conferences, no matter what you go to, hopefully you're able to leave with just one key juicy nugget, and then be able to get back to work and normal life to where you could actually apply some of the things that you learn. I think what was really interesting, so I was not able to attend the social media one. I was manning the fort. When I say manning the fort, we had a booth there where people could come and schedule strategy sessions with me and learn a little bit more about what Deck Builder Marketers has to offer them. But I believe it was Gordon from Wood Bully said that he spends the evening editing his footage, right?
Yeah, he kind of touched base on, he said, a typical day for him, like he'll get up at 5, leave the house shortly after, is out on the field all day, then comes home, late evenings most times, has a little bit of time to unwind. And then once he's in bed, he'll be editing his footage on like his phone or his laptop. I don't know, from sometimes he said 9 to midnight, and then does it all over again. But, he just said he's really passionate about the videos and he likes them done a certain way. And he actually enjoys doing the editing. He knows that he could have probably passed it off to somebody else, but it's just something that he loves to do. And so he makes time for it.
Yeah, that was some feedback. I talked about that with a few builders too that have been pretty heavy into social media for a while. And sometimes, I think that as a business owner, you kind of have to evaluate what you're good at, what you like doing, what you don't like doing, and what you're not good at. And if you have a passion for something, it's going to obviously be more enjoyable, but I think you'll be able to get through it a lot more efficiently. And some of the builders I spoke to, they were just like, the amount of time that it takes me to delegate editing the footage to somebody else, it's just as easy for me to do it. But you have to be a video editor. And I think it's pretty cool. The two sides that some of these big players in this space, like social media icons in the deck building world, play, where they're building something with their hands during the day and then nerding out with the technical stuff in the evening, and really taking full advantage of social media and so forth. But for any of you guys that are listening that do not want to be messing around with a laptop while you're trying to relax in bed, I would say maybe the biggest takeaway that I heard from you was, just do that time lapse footage while you're on the job. And I think that really builds some anticipation with your projects. And sometimes you don't need to overthink things either. You just need to be present, because if you're not, your competition will be. Do you have anything to add on that?
Absolutely. And with the time lapse, you can get so much content from that. Like, sure, you would want to have a time lapse from start to finish, and that project is probably, I don't know, a couple of weeks going on. And then in a time lapse, it's maybe a minute. But you can do time lapses, day by day. And this way you don't even have to edit that video. You just set up a quick time lapse of that, with your GoPro, or set your phone somewhere and do that. And then you don't even really have to edit it. You just upload it each day, and then you save the bigger editing project for the end of the project when your crew's off the ground, and you just slice them all together, and it should be pretty easy.
Yeah, that's awesome. Very cool. Well, so we are back from DeckExpo. We had kind of a full day yesterday. I know I was a little late to get started yesterday. I hope you were. We got in pretty late on Wednesday, and I think that once we sat down to eat dinner on Wednesday, when we were waiting for the airplane, we realized how tired we were. Yes. So I kind of had a slow start yesterday, and so anyway, we just have been getting back into the swing of things, and I'm leaving for vacation next week. I'm super excited. I've been working pretty hard this year, and going to do an awesome girls trip, going to Costa Rica and doing some surfing and yoga. So we're leaving tonight. So it's been pretty crazy getting everything together here. And anyway, poor Mackenzie hit me up. She's like, "Are you ready?" And I'm like, "I need 15 minutes." So I was rushing, trying to pack and get ready for this podcast. I just really wanted to do it while everything was fresh in my head. And I ran into the door. So, you guys can't see that you're listening, and I don't know that it's puffed up yet, but this eyebrow, I'm going to have a juicy little nugget there for all my surfing pictures next week. Anyway, I just had to sit there and just be like, okay, just breathe, just breathe.
One of those days, but you're going to get rewarded so soon with this trip. I cannot wait to hear all about it when you get back. Yeah. Hopefully there's no more bruises or anything on you from the surfing.
Yep. That's right. Just sunshine. I hope my only souvenir is tan.
That's right.
So next week is Thanksgiving. So I hope that everybody has some amazing plans. I think that we all really enjoy spending time with our family. Although I do have to say that my family is going to Ohio to visit family. While I go to beautiful Costa Rica. Just had to put that in there, Are you doing anything special for Thanksgiving?
Yeah, so I'm going home. My family all lives in northern New York, so I'm going to go home for Thanksgiving. I usually don't travel during the holidays. I like to just kind of keep it quiet and cozy here on the West Coast with my partner. But my brother had his first child in October, so I'm going to go home and meet my nephew. And then my cousin is also getting married Thanksgiving weekend, so just a lot of family time. And I'm really excited to actually be home for a holiday. Even though there's that hustle and bustle of going to the airport and all of the baggage that comes with traveling over the holidays. Yeah. It really is special to be able to spend it with family. So it feels like you and I are swapping roles. Yeah. You're going away from the family and I'm going to your family.
Yep. That's great. But and you bring your dog with you too, right?
I'm actually going to leave him at home this time. it was just, I travel with him all the time. But my brother has a dog and with a new baby, and I'm just like, it's too much.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he is going to miss you.
I know.
I have to go drop my dog off now. I have a funny story about that. In Chicago with our first dog years ago, we left the dog in the backyard with her friend Shadow, and she was probably only a year old or something like that. We went up the street to go grab some beers, and we came back, and there was a hole under the fence, and she was gone. And poor Shadow was just looking at us like, I don't know anything.
I didn't do it.
So we're obviously concerned, looking for our dog and everything. And apparently she had walked in a local store. This was in Wisconsin, I believe. No, it was in Chicago. So she had walked in a local store, and I guess this mom and daughter ended up taking her home. And granted, she had her name, Bella, with the phone number. But yeah, they did not call us right away. And I think the person that was running the store must have gotten our phone number, and eventually called us and said, hey, like, these people picked the dog up. And anyway, it was kind of cute because the little girl renamed her, what was it? Pebbles or something like that.
Just total disregard for the name tag.
Oh my God. And the truth is, and she was just sitting at the door when we went to go get her, like, I'm not leaving. Like, yeah, you probably would have had a better life with that little girl, but too bad you're coming with us.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
funny.
So anyway, we're dropping our second dog right now, Miss Kodo, who we love so much. We're dropping her off at a friend's house, and I have to keep telling them I'm taking my dog back when I get home. So
yes.
Anyway, a little dog conversation for all of us doggy lovers out there. So what else? I got to speak with Amy Breen with one of the DeckEx talks, and it was so rewarding from so many levels. The first thing is I'm just really grateful for all of the people that showed up. I spoke last year, but it was at 7:30 in the morning in Vegas, and I think 90 people signed up, but there were only a handful of people there, and I don't blame them. So anyway, it was nice that our spot was a little later in the day, and I got some really good feedback from it. So we'll be sharing clips of that talk, and hopefully you guys get some good stuff out of it. But it was really nice to share the stage with Amy. She's so brilliant. I call her a badass, and I felt like we just kind of jive together pretty well. So hopefully you guys enjoy that. And if anybody else checked out any of the DeckEx talks, please let us know what your thoughts are. Let Chris Breen know. Let Pops and Margie from Nadra know. The more feedback that they get, the more inclined they'll be to even put more effort into it next year. But they just did such a solid job. It was really nice. So I was very proud to be there. And there were quite a few people that had questions afterwards. So that was nice to just see that people were engaged. And hate to toot my own horn, but there were several people that did come up to me and said that it was a really valuable talk. And I had one fella, Mackenzie, I can't remember if he was from Nebraska or Arkansas.
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 It might have been one of the two.
Yeah, he said that it was one of the best talks that he got, and probably the most valuable. So I was like, you know what? It's nice to hear that stuff. It keeps us going, so pretty cool.
You are valid.
But what else? There were so whenever you go to DeckExpo, a lot of the manufacturers spoil the contractors and take them out to awesome parties. So I know that Decorators spoiled some folks and did some K1 racing, and of course all kinds of amazing dinners. And we got to go to the welcome party, which was pretty interesting, right? I mean, we didn't stay that long, but
it was.
It was cool. It was. Look, I don't go out to clubs. Okay. I'm a mom with the mom van, and I like early mornings, and, I'm a little bit older now, but, it was pretty interesting to, wait in line and see what the actual cover charge would be if you had to pay. And then we got in and it was straight up club music.
It was, the venue was really awesome. I thought it was, like the perfect setting. And I loved how they had these little mermaids, these beautiful women. They had these little mermaid costumes on with their tails, and they're sitting next to the pools. And so that was a cool feature. But the club music, we definitely probably could have gone without that. I think it was the wrong demographic, wrong clientele. But
we didn't stay long enough to see if things got crazy.
Yeah.
I forgot about the mermaids. I didn't see the mermaid pictures.
I'll have to send them to you. They're good.
Right. So, are you still there? Okay, you paused for a second. Yeah, I'm sure none of the fellas got pictures with the mermaids. So I don't know if the wives would like that too much, but we got pictures with the mermaids.
It just seemed right. Like two women, like in a predominantly male environment. It was like, oh, let's go say hello to the mermaids and get a picture.
Yeah. Well, we got to meet some guys from Belgium, and that was really cool to hear what their experience was like. And, you know, it's always nice to hear how things are in different countries. And again, like what their experience is like coming over here. So that was pretty cool. Mm-hmm. They were from the pool side. There's just so many people to meet, so many stories to hear and all of that. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, we didn't stay there very long. We ended up leaving, and I told Mackenzie, I'm like, we got to go get these tacos. And I don't know what you were feeling at the time, but I think they were some pretty damn good tacos.
I raved on and on about them. When I got home when April and I were in line, I like took a video of the place. I'm taking pictures of my food. As soon as I got back to the hotel, I called up Corey, my boyfriend, and I was like, you have to look at these pictures. You have to see this video. Like, these are the best tacos I've ever had. And they were so good. The next day we went back to our booth at the expo, and our neighboring booth. I told them about it. And so that night they went there too. And the next day they came back and they're like, those were the best tacos. I mean, the tacos might have been the highlight of the trip. They were so good.
Yeah, I know. And what's so funny about it is, you know, we live in San Diego, so Tijuana is right there. And of course, we've got amazing Mexican food here. And we go all the way to Vegas to have like the best tacos in the world. And the restaurant was called something like Tijuana Tacos or something.
El Gordo's Tijuana Tacos or something.
Oh my God. If you guys are there, check it out. It's worth it. And they're super busy during lunchtime. I mean, there's a line and it's crazy pants. But we were there later on in the evening when everybody else is probably wining and dining at nice places. And we were getting that. I mean, it was like the cheapest food too, out of everywhere that we went.
It was so good.
It almost seemed like, I was going to say, it almost seemed like a couple of tacos were cheaper than a bottle of water at the convention center.
Yeah, for sure. And funnily enough, April and I ate some sort of tacos, Mexican food, every single night that we were there. We didn't plan on it, but three nights of our meals were all taco Mexican food related, and I'm not even mad about it.
I love it. Yeah, that was surprising, but the airport Mexican food was actually really good, but we were ravishing too. So ravishing. All right, well, let's get into some meat and potatoes here for anybody that's listening. So I would say, so what I'd like to do is just kind of talk about our experience a little bit, and then I've got a list of takeaways. So kind of some cliff notes from some of the DeckEx talks that I attended, and then just talking to some different people. So I would say just I think the best part of this experience is just meeting up with people in person. And this industry is amazing. I mean, I can go on and on, which I always do, but I'll save you guys from, the redundancy of me praising this industry like I do. But everybody is so nice, and you see people and it's like you've known them for years, and they're so open armed. And I love how, honestly, we have a client in Chicago that's, referred one of his competitors to us. And that says a lot about character. And I don't know if it's just the folks that we end up meeting with, but they're just really good people. It was really nice to see some of our clients too, because we serve deck builders across the country. And that means that really the only time we do get to see them in person is at these events. I mean, we do Zooms and stuff on a monthly basis. We touch base with our clients. And of course, we're always texting and stuff back and forth. But, being able to see them in person and, nurture those relationships and all of that is just, is pretty nice. So, and And then we also had the opportunity to grab a couple of video testimonials, which I am so excited to share with everybody. I mean, they were legit. It was really cool to hear our clients' experience. And it wasn't just, generic responses. Like, they went into some detail. I mean, Andy Henley, in his testimonial, my eyes were tearing up. I'm just, I guess I left, very proud. I think that a lot of people knew who we are, and we just got to really talk to a lot of folks. It was wonderful. Do you have any takeaways?
Yeah, I would 100% agree with you. I think the biggest thing for me was connecting with people and meeting people, especially for April and I. We're in a digital world. We're remote and we're alone all the time. And we don't really see a lot of people in a workspace setting. So it was really cool to just see some of our clients in person. Like I was standing at the booth while I think April was up giving her speech. And I looked across the way and I noticed a familiar face in the crowd. And it was Carsey from O'Keefe Built. And her and I kind of locked eyes. It took us a second for us to both register who each other was, because we never see each other in person. And honestly, we never really see each other in Zoom. We just probably see each other's like images on each other's websites. And so as soon as I saw her, like I got up from the booth and I walked over, and like her and I just had like a hug that you would have with like your high school best friend. Like we hugged and it just felt so like natural. Yeah. And so it was just cool to see our clients in person, connect with them on a different level, and then meeting everybody else in the industry, speaking with some of like the manufacturers or, yep. Other folks who play into these businesses for our deck builders, and kind of learning about their products. For example, I really enjoyed the conversation that we had with the gentleman. I think he was the president of HFS financing, and, just listening to him, and we kind of got some tidbits and feedback on like how we can further integrate some of their products into our clients' websites, and, just information that we didn't know. So I thought that was really cool. And then the last thing is just a big testimony to all of the work that April's been doing these last 3 years. Is you wouldn't believe how many people came up to me when I was at the booth by myself, and we had all of our stuff out there, and April's image was on a couple of different things, and people would walk up and they would point at it and they're like, I've seen that face before. Like, I know who that person is. Like, this is you guys, but they had never met April or like spoke to her. Like, she is just so present everywhere that people are really recognizing who you are and what you do. And I think that's also kind of what you had said was a big difference this year versus last year, is that, people knew you, and it wasn't you just, introducing yourself. You already kind of have that presence, and it was people coming up to you and like wanting to learn more.
And I mean, look, tooting horns is one thing, but I think what I'm more proud about is that I've owned a marketing agency since 2012, and we were a generalist. I always say we were the general construction company of marketing agencies, doing everything for everyone. And it was really hard to practice what you preach as a marketer when you don't have one message to one audience. And I just didn't like that. I didn't feel good about that. I didn't like telling people how they should be doing their marketing when I wasn't kicking ass at my own. So I think that it's just a real testimony to be consistent with your marketing, because we started as nothing 3 years ago in this space. I had absolutely nothing to do with this industry apart from working with one client. And I love the experience so much that I decided to go the experience working with the client. I mean, I just thought we spoke the same language. I actually have a video on the site that goes into more detail about that. But, 3 years later, so the first DeckExpo, I came and I was so nervous. I didn't know anybody. I had not met anybody in person. I had, maybe done one marketing campaign and reached out to some people, but that was really my first experience, meeting people and building relationships. And Heather and Pops and Margie from Nadra were complete open arms, and as was everyone else. And it's just been so amazing. So anyway, the testimony is that we do practice what we preach. And, I really do care about what we do. So much so that that's why I'm in marketing, because we have a real opportunity to help people have a better life for themselves by building their business. I always say, like, I got to the point in my own career where I didn't want to have a business that was dependent on my availability. And so, there's a lot that I've done within my own business to help with that as an entrepreneur or business owner. And that's what I want for my clients too. So anyway, it's just, I guess we've come a long way. And I just want everybody that's listening to know that if you're consistent, you will build a name for yourself, and you will be the best known deck builder in your area, where people already know, like, and trust you before they pick up the phone. And that's a lot of what we do. So make sure that you're getting out there and you're being consistent, and you could go to events like this and have a milestone of accomplishment, which is really good. So anyway, thank you so much for saying that. It was, it was a pretty cool experience. So I want to say that one of the things that I learned, which it's really interesting, because as a vendor there, essentially, you wouldn't think that, we would go there to learn things. Like, we're supposed to go there and sell, right? Like, buy our stuff. But I mean, we do so much. We represent our clients to a much different degree than a lot of businesses. Like, we have to know our clients' business intimately in order to produce content for them, in order to build their website, in order to really represent and push their brand forward. And so I have to constantly learn about the business side of things, where leaks are, and how we can better support our guys, not just with bringing in a bunch of leads, but, saving them time in their sales process, and then, getting assets like photos and videos and things like that are really going to help them shine. And then, we just get to promote it and tell the world how amazing they are. So I would say a couple takeaways that I got that stand out the most are the importance of owning a business. Just like I said, having a business that's not dependent on your time. And I think that, I heard it from some key players there, some other manufacturers, and some other deck builders, or some OGs that have been in the space for a while, just saying that, a lot of these guys, like, you guys get, it's the same with me. I went to art school. I was passionate about being creative, and then I ended up starting a business, and fast forward, however, gosh, I don't even know, 20 years later, here I am. But, and it's been a whole journey, as everybody else has. But typically people start a business because they're super passionate about their craft, and a lot of deck builders start because they're very passionate about their craft. And plus, they don't want to work for someone else, right? They see an opportunity. A lot of us find an opportunity to do something better, or maybe something more meaningful. But then we end up creating a job for ourselves. Meaning that, we're grinding, we're wearing multiple hats and grinding, and not really treating it like a business. And so I think that's just, there's so much stuff. Like, I'm a very feelings person. If I'm inspired, if I have that motivation, if I have a vision, there's nothing that's going to stop me. I will put in the work. I'm very determined, but I'm not going to do shit unless I have a vision for what I want. And actually, that's a good segue, because one of the key takeaways I got from one of the DeckEx talks was knowing where you want your business to go. So don't just be in a hamster wheel and you're just going. Actually, listen to a podcast today, and they were talking about how, you get ready for the day, and then you get in your truck, and then, you're planning out your day while you're driving to a job site or something. It's like, how are you going to accomplish bigger goals if you don't sit down and, like, plan, And I think that having things on your calendar, like, if it's not on your calendar, it's not getting done. And I'm very much like that. Like, sometimes people have to schedule meetings with me just so I can, like, approve things or, put my focus on it. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that just trying to get out of being in your business and working on it. And you deserve it. You guys deserve it. You guys work really hard. And you got to put a price on your time too. So trying to delegate some admin type of stuff, so that you're not the one that's having to answer the phones or do your bookkeeping, that type of stuff, I think is really important. But I definitely want to challenge you as we go into a new year to really evaluate where your time is going, put a price on it, and visualize where you want your business to be. And I'm going to skip around here because I just think that this was so good. I mean, Amy and Chris Breen, they run an amazing business, and they have a vision for their business that's so big that their team shares the vision. Like, their vision is to help support their team with their vision. It's amazing. I thought it was really great how they said, include your team in your planning. I just thought that was amazing. So let's see, I have some notes here. Let me find it here. So know where you're going with your business. And if you don't know where you're going with your business, your team isn't going to know. And how are you guys all going to work towards something if you guys aren't on the same page? So this wasn't a takeaway, I don't believe, from DeckEx, but just from my own perspective, like having weekly stand-ups with your team, people that are out, in the field versus, or at job sites versus, those that are in the office or whatnot, just having those regular touch points with each other to have that camaraderie and celebrate, each other and touch base is really good. I know for us, we have a virtual team, and boy, is that a challenge, to have a culture, but I think we do a pretty good job with it. I mean, I could speak to that, but it's not going to really apply to a lot of you builders. But we do quarterly updates. We started doing those this year, and it's great because it gives me as a business owner the opportunity to share my vision and really talk about how we took the steps to get closer to that in the previous quarter, and then what our plans are going to be for the next quarter. And we even end our quarterly, I call it a company growth huddle, with a word that we can all kind of, like a mantra, right? Like that we focus on. And I have the team come up with the word, and I'm always just so blessed to hear that we're kind of all on the same page when we come up with the word, which is pretty cool. So just the idea of not being imprisoned in your business too. That was something I wrote down, which I thought was pretty powerful, because it happens, man. Like, if you have a business that's dependent on your availability, sometimes you can't have dinner with your family, or, I went through it where I would go on trips to see friends when I was younger, and I'd have to I couldn't go and hang out or really be present because I had to work the whole time, So just really important to have good balance. So what else? Some other tips. I love a few key things. Talking about business growth at the DeckEx Talks, talking about a world-class experience, being quick to implement, and then lots of stuff on SOPs and recruitment. So I'll go over some bullet points here. As far as building a world-class experience, this is something that is very, very important to me. I think that all of us, we build things, right? You guys build decks, we build websites and marketing campaigns, but the other half of it is the experience for the person that's investing in these things. And you need to make sure that they always know what to expect, and, that you're holding their hand the whole time, and, really leading them along a pleasant experience. I think Brendan Casey was the one that said how important it is to just even pick up after yourself at the job site, and how, going above and beyond to blow all the dust or whatever, and really clean it up so that it looks super stellar afterward is, to me, that's icing on the cake. And, the details are what really separates you. So I thought that was really good advice. And then somebody else said, and I apologize, I can't remember. I think this was on one of the deck panels, and I can't remember who said it, but they said, if you are able to show up and give your client a high five after the project is done, then you're doing good. But if you can't do that, you're not doing a good job. And I love that. And then that's a good segue to talk about your team. So I loved this in terms of recruiting, is that when you're recruiting, envision if you could go camping with that person. You know what I'm saying? How cool is that? Like, if you're really going to have a team, like, I mean, we spend a lot of hours together.
Don't you want to be friends with them? Like, well, you want to enjoy their company.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you want to make sure that you mesh well together no matter what. And that, well, the podcast I listened to earlier was talking about how, you kind of ask each other, like, do you love each other? And I know this is mushy and everything, but it's true. I mean, if you're going to, like, everybody needs help, and we got to be able to support one another. We're a team. And to say, like, do you love somebody? It might sound like dramatic, but it's true. Like, that's the type of culture I want to have, So anyway, I really like that analogy. Excuse me. And like I said, there are some things that I got from this that I am going to apply. So I spoke with our HR director, and we have, our mission statement and then our tagline and so forth. But we always want to, sorry, 1 second. We always want to kind of like ask questions during the interview process that see if they're in alignment with that, and kind of what their thoughts are without telling them, right? So our mission is empowering potential and enriching lives. And so that's something that's really important. Like, we want people that are driven, that, don't just want to make things, but want to make a bigger impact, right? So like asking them questions to try and figure out if they're on the same page is really good. But the other is my takeaway and what I had talked about with our HR director was asking people questions that help you identify if they are on the same page with your core values. And she was really like, she hadn't done that. She hadn't taken it that far, but that was something that somebody mentioned. And I think that's important, very important, very important, because that kind of puts a framework to what you guys are all doing. So some good feedback there. And then always know your numbers, always know your numbers, always know your numbers, always know your numbers. It's so important. And this is key. Like, even the talk that Amy and I had, it's like, I mean, if you don't get anything else from this talk other than that, you're good. Like, don't even listen to anything else we say. And as a matter of fact, don't even apply anything that we're saying unless you know your numbers, because you're just kind of, winging it and throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what works. And so when you know your numbers, you can plan before you hire, which is really important. You'll be able to say, based off of my sales projections and workload allocation and all of that and cash flow, this is when I'll be able to hire with enough time to train this person for, when we need to bring them or when we need to utilize them, right? And then I think the last takeaway with hiring was that humans, and I wish I would have wrote down who said these things. So please, if you're listening to this, let me know. I want to give you credit. But humans want to be on a winning team. So I did speak a little bit about promoting your culture on social media in our talk. And the thing is like, if you're not promoting your accomplishments on social media, on your website, things like that, then potential recruits aren't going to know that stuff. And people want to be a part of something bigger. So make sure that you are posting that stuff. And with that said, also if you are participating in, different programs that NADRA has going on, Deck for a Soldier, the Deck Safety certification and some of the other programs that they have. If you are winning some of those Deck awards, please make sure you're promoting that stuff again on your website and on social media. It's so important. And so your marketing does not only, help you get more leads in the door, but it's, with your prospects and get the type of customers that you want, but it also helps build out your team. And I always say you get to a point where your mantra should be always be recruiting, because you always want to have the best of the best. So just know that, people want to be a part of something bigger and they want to be a part of a winning team, and you got to make sure that the world knows about it. So what else? The other is, I categorize this as being quick to implement, which is also something that I hear from a lot of the successful agency owners in a group that I'm in, and a coaching and accountability group that I'm in. And everybody says that, like, be quick to implement. So if you have an idea about something, make it happen. Like, don't wait on it, and definitely don't try to perfect things. I'm sure I'll look back at this podcast and be disgusted, because as we keep doing this, we're going to get better and better at it. But I didn't want to stop and wait until everything was perfect and we had a fancy studio and all of this, because I want to help now, and we'll get better as we go, and that will be great. But I think more important than that is that act on decisions. If you make a decision on something, make it happen. And again, this was something that was a takeaway from these DeckEx talks. So definitely go next year, and hopefully Legacy Academy and Nadra does this so that you could get some of these juicy nuggets. And then I'm kind of excited to talk to Mackenzie about this, because she's part of my team. But look, I like to say that I'm very optimistic with my time. And I really like to try and throw a lot in there, because they have so many ideas. I want them to happen, And so act with urgency to move your business forward. And I'm guilty of that. Like, 100%. There's a lot of things I want to do. But if I don't do that, like even just trying to get this podcast in before I leave for vacation, things aren't going to happen. There's going to be a million reasons why you can't do things, but you got to challenge yourself. And, I guess if you're getting stagnant, then you're not going to work with a sense of urgency. But, I really want to be, I want to be able to help more people. I want to make a bigger impact. And so in order to do that, I do kind of work with a sense of urgency. And I think that, that was a really good recommendation for any business owner. So now Mackenzie.
I'll be ready.
Everyone's like, simmer down, April, simmer down. I'm like, I have these ideas, make it happen. But I think the team does a pretty good job. We work well together. Absolutely. And I have this note here. Again, if anybody's listening, let me know, because I'm realizing I maybe need to take better notes next time. But I wrote down, everybody gets tested the same. And I think this had to do with your team. I really hope that the people that were in the DeckEx talks are listening to this so that you can help me get my information right. But I think that this applied to your team members. So if you're, maybe this has to do with not playing favorites. And it's really good. Like you had mentioned earlier, you're like, well, you want to be friends. Well, you do, but everybody still has to, reach the same goals. And I think what this was about was making sure that if there's an issue, that you address it right away with an employee. And even if they are friends, like you have to treat them the same, and let them know that they screwed up, and that, if it happens again, there's going to be a problem, and that's not an easy thing to do. Trust me, it really sucks. That's probably the worst part of being a business owner, but good advice. And I think that other team members would appreciate that too, instead of letting things slide, especially, I guess the takeaway is don't have favorites. And put your business hat on. Going back to numbers, watching your numbers every single day and then talking about them. So it's one thing to look at your numbers. It's another thing to actually talk about it and figure out how you could refine them. And I don't think that you can do this enough. And if you are out there swinging a hammer, your numbers are the last thing you're looking at, because you're really just trying to build amazing work and, serve your customers. So, if I could give any advice on that, it's kind of going back to the calendar, like make sure that you reserve some time to look over your numbers and, see what you got to tweak, because like, we're not doing this for fun. This isn't charity in the end. You know what I mean? It's nice that we don't have to work for anybody else. Although I'll tell you, I am my worst boss. My boss sucks. Like, she works me like crazy. She doesn't let me sleep sometimes, things like that. And I think we all want to get out of that. So make sure that, you're looking at your numbers and you're adjusting things so that you're reaching your goals and having the freedom that you want. The podcast I listened to earlier, they were just talking about how they started listening to a podcast, and they were like, oh man, like this is really great, because you get a ton of ideas, as I've already mentioned a few things today. You get a ton of ideas, and you learn, and if you're not setting aside the time to do that type of stuff, it's not going to happen. So what else? SOPs, making sure that you do the same thing every time. Now, Amy had a really great talk on this. She said she doesn't write SOPs. So SOPs are standard operating procedures. There's a million tasks that we all do in our business. And most of the time, us business owners, it's all in our head. And we got to get it out, because again, you don't want a business that's dependent on you all the time. So what Amy does is she does a brain dump whenever she gets a new hire for a particular role. And then she has the new hire kind of update, either create the process from her brain dump or update the process. And then that new hire is expected to find flaws in the process and then to come to the table with recommendations. So I think that's great, because if you have a team member that's participating in that, then they kind of own part of the company. And I think it makes them proud. And it also can show you who's really dedicated and who's not. But I think that's a really good thing. And as a business owner, it's like, try and delegate whatever you can, try and delegate. Okay, just a couple more things here. So retaining talent. So people leave due to their boss, not their job. And this hits home, because I know that I'm crazy. I know that I expect a lot. I'm a super picky designer, and I want things to be great. I'm very much aware that I'm a perfectionist, and that gets in the way. That's gotten me to where I am, but in a lot of ways it's not good either. So always, again, take the time to have some space to think about how you might be towards your employees, and figure out where the problems are with you and fix it. Because if you want to have a successful team and people that are going to stick around, you need to figure out what's wrong with you. And you need to constantly work on that, so make sure that you're reflecting inward and, not being an ass, but also letting people know when they're being an ass. And then get creative in the way that you retain people. Okay. So there is a panel with Cascade Decks. So Cascade Decks has like 45 employees. And who else was it? Oh shoot, I can't remember who it was, but they buy new trucks for their crews. They pay for their phones, all this stuff. That's amazing. And it would be great if Mackenzie, would you like it if I bought you a car?
Yeah, absolutely. I share a vehicle with my boyfriend right now, so I'll take a new one.
So we all can't buy our employees cars, but you can still get creative in how you retain them. And who knows what that is? Like, maybe it's just, spoiling them every once in a while at different events, or just going out of your way to let them know how much, you value them, or gifting them with things. Or, I'm open for everybody to share their ideas, because I think that's a very important part. As business owners, I'm guilty. I'm on to the next thing. Like, as soon as we solve a problem, like, my mind's already going to the next thing that we need to work on. But you really do have to stop and say, wow, look at what we did. Thank you. Like, we did this together, or you did this, or whatever it is, and really taking the time to recognize that stuff. So super important. I guess I have some more takeaways, some ideas that I got from this, but maybe I'll share that for later. There are some things that I want to do as a business that I think are going to make a nice impact in the industry. And maybe I'll have a different podcast on that, so that we can maybe encourage other people to do the same thing. So anyway, any final takeaways from your side, Mackenzie? Anything that I missed?
I think you covered a lot.
Yeah.
It's all coming back to me now. I feel like we has absorbed so much information over those 3-4 days, like met so many people, so many names, so many faces. And so I'm just really proud of you for taking these takeaways and writing them down, because they were like in one ear out the other, but now they're back in there.
Yep. Which is why I wanted to do this right away, because got to get it out while it's fresh. So anyway, we're from Deck Builder Marketers. We have a ton of resources on our site. If there's tons of guides, articles, and then of course we're going to be publishing podcasts regularly. And we really look forward to, for the most part, having a lot of guests on the podcast, different pros within the industry. So if you go to deckbuildermarketers.com/podcast, you can apply to be on the show. And trust me, the application process is nothing formal or crazy. It's just, we kind of want to know like what your thoughts are on, what you'd want to talk about. And I know a lot of you guys, so I'm going to be reaching out to some folks, and then, I put together a nice little kind of agenda, nothing that we really need to follow by. We want to keep these conversational and really just know your story. So if you think that you have something that would be really valuable for other people within the industry, whether they're just starting out or, they're industry pros, it will be super helpful for anyone. So we definitely want to invite you to, to be on the podcast, and then of course subscribe so that you don't miss any future ones, and stay tuned for the next episode. And as always, keep moving forward.
Hey, deck building community. Enjoyed the show? Hit subscribe and give us your thoughts. We love hearing from you. Ready to level up your business? Visit deckbuildermarketers.com. Check out our services and let's build your success together. Don't forget to download our free guides. They're a game changer. Thanks for tuning in to We Love Deck Builders, and see you on the next episode.